If they're documents you can say from the company, nothing confidential, just maybe your own work, build up your own portfolio. That's going to be super important. Second, it's also good to know your rights. So it depends which country that you're in. So for example, in a lot of European countries, it's very hard to lay people off immediately versus in the US, you can be here today, gone tomorrow. So always know what your contract is, if there's no non-compete, if there's garden leave or anything like that, so that you can be ready. And I highly recommend people to contact a labor lawyer in advance, because just a 1 hour consultation with a labor lawyer can save you thousands later in terms of negotiating a great package, knowing your rights in advance, which is super important. And I think thirdly, and this is a little bit of a controversial one, but maximize all your company benefits before you leave the company. So for example, if you have insurance or dental or healthcare or any sort of benefits that could go away once a layoff's announced, or maybe you're frozen out of the system, can't log back in, as that sometimes happens. A layoff can be announced and you can't log back in. So I think that's important to also understand what benefits you have and use them while you can.
I wonder how much this narrative of layoffs and also kind of AI being the catalyst for laying people off stresses people out that already have a job, that kind of layoffs are potentially looming or they might be impacted in that same way. If we're talking about the quantities, like 120,000 is a lot of people. And when it happens, at least in my social feed, it's there because people are liking it, empathizing with the people, sending messages. I see other people that have been impacted then react to it as well. My feed is then full of it. And I understand I'm in my bubble and it might not impact me as much. But for the people that are in similar, let's say, big tech organizations, I wonder what it does from their own kind of job security perspective. Do you have any insights on that specifically?
Yeah,
or
of
any
course.
thoughts?
So I think that layoffs really create quite a change in morale inside a company. So the fact that you will still be there, and as great as, maybe some of our labor laws in Europe are that, it has to go through the Works Council and many other groups, you still have to go to work a lot of the time. So knowing the end is near, or rumors that the end is near, and you still have to be there, can really, really demotivate people and really worry people. Will my next job match my last salary? What will I be doing? Will the job market be flooded? So for example, I know a client of mine who actually helped AI adoption at a company, and she was scaling it for 2 years. It's going really, really well, almost too well that they were like, we actually don't need you anymore. And she was like, did I just automate myself out of a job? Like, was this my fault? What did I do? And now she realized she has a massive opportunity to do consultancy. So she's shifted entirely from looking at, I need a stable, full-time, permanent position, to actually consult at different companies. So she's even has a higher income. So her layoff was actually a good thing, doing consultancy work for these different companies that are looking at AI adoption within their company. So even if you are laid off, always consider different ways. It might not be a full-time job for you next time. And I think the shift we're seeing is also people who were maybe hired at big tech companies. So let's say they were at Meta, Google, Amazon, Atlassian. Their next job is actually less likely to be another big tech company. So it can be a smaller company. It can be maybe a company less well known that's making really cool tools, adoption, chatbots, other kind of things. So I think it's important to stay open-minded. But I think our ego is a little bit sometimes attached to the sort of company that we work at. Like, oh, I've only worked at these companies, and what if my next company is smaller and less well-known? But you might find it might be even more enjoyable. Maybe you have more autonomy, work on projects and products you enjoy more. So I think a layoff definitely isn't the end of the world. And it's always important while you're still employed to reflect on, what do I enjoy about my current job? What do I love working on? What would I like to work on next? As layoffs often shake people up to be like, oh, okay, I need to reconsider my life. But I think there's so much reflection you can do even where you are today.
I've also seen this narrative where this is from a hiring perspective. People are saying the resumes that I get, let's say for an individual contributor, software engineering position, all resumes kind of look tailored, custom made to the profile that we put out there. And all the job experience, at least from a resume perspective, they look like they completely fit, which means that already just looking at resumes, if previously you used to see a few that would really stand out, now all of them stand out and they come in volumes. It's really hard to find the right people, both from a hiring perspective as well as if you are the person sending your resume, to distinguish yourself. And I think personal branding and putting yourself out there on a platform, engaging with the people that are hiring like that is a great step. Keeping up to date with your resume and the work that you've done is also something that you've mentioned. Is there something missing that people can still do to put themselves out there?
Yeah, so I think almost CVs are too good these days. Like they're too tailored to the job but then when you actually start interviewing and speaking to someone, being like, okay, you said you built this, tell me about it. And they're like, they can't really speak much on it. So I think from that perspective, it still is good to have a great CV tailored to the role, but an interview will allow you to sort of assess a candidate a lot better. And the thing is, a lot of candidates start to sort of look the same, like have similar experiences, similar skills. So to stand out even more, that is where good old-fashioned relationships come into play. So if you have someone who can refer you for the role, if you already have a network at the company, and this is something I encourage early graduates to really focus, because they are significantly less entry-level tech positions than previous years, than even 2024 and before. So for example, as a student, it's kind of the last thing you're thinking about, right? You're just trying to get through your exams, pass your thesis, and maybe you'll apply for a couple jobs. No, you actually need to focus on already building a job search strategy in your studies. So if you already start going to community events, networking events, being really integrated into the tech community in your city, or if your city doesn't have a big tech community, online communities, building relationships online and in person, so that by the time you graduate, you can maybe find a really cool traineeship, internship, or some kind of junior position. So I encourage people to do that, but that's not a skill you really get taught in university. I'm like, I don't know about you, but my school didn't really teach me. It was like, you've graduated, all the best, and they sort of just push you out of the nest, and you're like, okay.
Fly.
So exactly, fly, little one.
Yeah.
But I think they should be greater emphasis on those kind of, you could say, softer skills in terms of how to speak with people, how to interview, how to build a career in school, so that by the time you graduate, particularly with a more competitive market, that's going to be there. So I remember when I was doing my master's here in the Netherlands, I think we had like a one-day workshop on the Dutch job market, and it was so fast and so much information. By the time I left, I was like, I don't know what to do. How am I going to find a job in this country? So, and that's what I love doing as both a coach and a recruiter, is really helping people to understand how they can position themselves so that they can stand out to other applicants. Because at the end of, like, especially your studies, a lot of CVs start to look the same, but there's still things you can do to put yourself ahead.
I would like your perspective on the roles, because we started this conversation with they are evolving compared to a few years ago specifically. And I've also seen this narrative